Should be in the bar.
Is your volume on? Mine's on. Okay, good evening, everyone.
Okay.
Welcome to the December 16th, 2021 meeting, the last final meeting of the year for the town board. At this point, I'd like to ask everybody to please stand and join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I think, I'd love it if during your remarks you could, or Ed could update us on that Peckham situation. It'd be interesting.
Okay.
All right, that'd be terrific. At this point, I just wanted to announce that one of our councilmen is going to be a little bit late, 20 minutes late because of a work engagement, but he's on the way. I'd like to approve the minutes of all the board members. Well, before we approve the minutes, there's one change to the minutes before we can approve them, and that is on page 3. There's just a missing sentence there. Resolution number 36 is actually the resolution to adopt the 2022 budget. So with that change, may I have a motion to adopt to accept and approve the minutes from November 18th, 2021?
I'll make that motion with that change being applied to it.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second it. Kev. Thank you, Councilman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. All right, let's go to the town supervisor report. So there's a few things to go over tonight, but a lot of the financials we're going to do at the end of the meeting, because this is the meeting at the end of the year when we usually do budget transfers and true up of the budget and all the books. So we'll come back to that stuff towards the end. I would like to say we're through the 11th month of the year. We're at 107%. So we're 7% over our revenue projections, which is good. We, as we've told you before, we've had a very good year. We're still at 91% of our expense projections. So as we try as usual to be tight with the taxpayers' money, we're getting into the 12th month, and we won't know exactly how we end until late January, February, when all the bills are paid, and we will let everybody know then, but we're on a good trajectory for the end of the year. As far as cash balances, between checking, savings, and our investment accounts, and including the American Rescue Plan money funds, which are $235,268 currently, and we'll get another of that sum at the next June, July. The general fund has a total cash balance of $3,625,255. The highway fund has a total cash balance of $362,000. $362,946. So our total cash balances are 3.9 million. Just to remind everybody, because sometimes it's misinterpreted, cash balances, there are a lot of liabilities that are going to come against some of those cash balances. That's not just a savings account with money that's not been allocated. Also, I just wanted to go through a few more interesting things I think that everybody would like to know. One is we're doing a year-end cleanup at the recycling center. And it's just so interesting, because you didn't notice in the back behind where all the bins are that there were a lot of tires back there, and they've been collected tires. People can drop tires off at the recycling center, and they pay us for them because we have to pay to get rid of them. But they've been stacked up for a while, and recently we had them all taken away thanks to our highway department and our highway superintendent who helped us. We took them instead of having them picked up because we saved a lot of money doing that. If we dropped them off to them, they would be twice the expense. But because the highway department was able to help us, which we really appreciate, we had 234 car tires back there.
Wow, that's a lot of tires.
6 truck tires, and I guess there were 22 tires with rims on them, but 234 car tires. So that'll be the last time that happens in a while.
I hope so,
because
because you know what happened in Dover about 25 years ago.
Oh, I don't know anything about that, but I know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a fire?
Extreme large fire.
It's a
Those
wild
tires
thing.
kept building up at a location, and New Year's Day they caught fire, and for days it burned.
And it's funny, I said to somebody, you don't notice
Yeah.
them. When you drove by there, the man asked me how many we had, and I said, I don't know, 60. I was so far, I couldn't believe it. They were really hidden and they were nicely stacked. Anyway, it was 234, but we only get about 2 a month. So I think as these guys are getting used
Must have been a
to,
lot of months we've been collecting. If that's-
well, that's what they told me. They hadn't had anybody pick them up in years, 10 years or something. I don't know, a long
Oh
time.
my gosh.
That's what I heard, but it doesn't matter. They're gone and it looks great back there. We've also had all the fluorescent light bulbs and all the batteries, everything's cleaned out. And all they're going to do now is put away the stuff that's outside for people to take, put it away for the winter. I also wanted to let everybody know, we get an AIM payment, which is a state funding. It's something that we have been getting from the state for many years. We don't get a huge sum of money, but we welcome it every December anyway, so that we received the AIM state payment of $10,543 this week. We also got and paid our retirement bill this is for just people understand how expensive the New York State and local retirement system is. We just sent them a payment of $107,731.
Now, that was in the November expenses.
That was in the December expenses.
So that wasn't on your report just now.
That
You
was,
said we were at 91%.
oh yeah, but that'll also go, that actually will go on the expenses for 2022. We're
Okay.
prepaying for the
All right.
future.
Oh, okay.
That's not part of that
Okay,
cash flow.
just
No.
curious.
Yeah. No. You're good catch, but the other, I think the most important things that we have going on tonight are later in the meeting. We have a wonderful presentation by an Eagle Scout, which we're anxious to hear. We have departmental reports. So I'm going to stop where I am there and pick it up later in the meeting when we go through the financials. So at this point, I would ask if there are any board member reports. Councilman Welsh, would you like to start?
Yes, I've been working with our supervisor quite a bit on this annexation process for the town park property in the town of Beekman, and she'll elaborate more later, but it's going well.
Yeah. Councilman McGivney? Nothing? Okay. Councilman Frazier?
Nothing to report.
Okay. I think we'll let Councilman Derlin catch up if you'd like to. How about the town highway superintendent report? You on? There you are. We see you.
Oh, go ahead and unmute Ed. It might actually let you.
There we go.
Okay,
Oh,
all right. So a couple updates. One of the bigger updates is the progress on our building. We finally have a delivery date for materials. Unfortunately, it's December 28th.
Oh, I thought,
Start date for construction or reconstruction is going to be January 3rd, and completion for the roof and all of the structural parts should be the following week, weather permitting. So it'll be a quick process, and then it'll be a matter of getting our doors put back into order and heat back on and the lighting back up. So I'm hopeful by the end of January, the building should be back up and going again. Things that the guys have been doing, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we've been out prepping for the winter and spring thaws, meaning we're cleaning the ditches out, cleaning culvert pipes out, so the spring thaw won't take our roads out. We're getting our equipment ready, and at this point, I'm going to say that we are ready for whatever winter wants to throw at us, other than our trucks having to sit outside. But we do have them all plugged in, so hopefully we won't have any problems with that. Salt shed is full. We do have a storm coming potentially for Saturday, so in prep for that, I ordered more salt. That'll show up next week, so we'll have room to put it in. And that's pretty much it, other than you're going to cover.
we're going to do that in new business.
Okay, so that's all I have to report, I guess.
Yeah, well, we can do that now.
Oh,
The one-
yes,
But the one, yeah, hang on one second
Why
before
don't we do
we,
the bids now, maybe?
yeah, can we hold on one second? I just wanted to tell and make sure everybody knows that, first of all, the county qualified for FEMA aid because of the fact that we had over $1.5 million worth of damage, and there's a threshold to qualify. And in order for us to get repaid, now we've spent $35,000, 37, almost $40,000 repairing damages from Hurricane Ida. The biggest expense for us was the previous storm in July, but the county didn't qualify. There's no reimbursement for that money. But again, I want to thank Superintendent. We've been sitting in these conference calls, he and I, with FEMA people, which can be 2 hours, an hour and a half long, as they, dot all their I's and cross all their T's. We've got a lot more information, 4 big pieces of information still to give them, and then we'll find out how much we'll be able to get back. But it is an arduous process. It's worth it for the money, and I appreciate the time you're putting in. So that being said, you want to walk us through the bid process? Everybody on the board has the list of submitted bids that we consolidated onto a spreadsheet. And I guess we could explain to everybody that this
is a normal yearly bid for materials, aggregates, blacktop, paving, some tree removal, things that the town highway department needs, and we do through the year. There were several bidders in lieu of what's going on in supply chains and labor forces today. I accepted all bids. They were all relatively close, but if we need something and low bidder doesn't have it, we have an option to go to another bidder. So I left all our options.
That's
Makes
great.
sense, yeah.
So this, we started a new process a couple of years ago when Superintendent Kading joined us. This is what we're supposed to do every year. So in December, after he reviews and accepts the bids, and they're presented to the town board, and the town board votes to reinforce what you just said, which is to take the highway bid comparison from December 6th and accept them for the year 2022. So may I have a motion to accept the highway bid comparison from December 6th and for 2022?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Thank you, sir. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Everybody in? Okay, that passes, and we appreciate that process. Thank you, Andrea Casey, for helping with the bid process. And it's all compiled and ready to go. You're set. All right, I don't think there was anything else for highway other than,
I got
Talk
one
about that?
question
Yeah.
for Ed while he's here, and I don't know whether you know the answer to it or not, but I'm looking, the shimming material in asphalt is quite a bit more expensive than anything else. Do you know why that is?
Yeah, that's the finer blacktop.
Is that what it is? It's got finer materials?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
okay, so the last item, I don't know if I have this so I can share my screen, but everybody listening can go to the town's website. Town Hall is joining in with our highway department, and we're very excited about this. We are going to have a tree recycling program this year where everybody in town can bring their Christmas trees to be recycled at the highway garage on January 8th. A lot of people wait until after that first week of Epiphany, and they bring their trees down then. So from noon until 4 p.m., we're going to be serving hot chocolate at the highway garage. And everybody can bring their trees in. They'll be shown where to place them. They'll get help. If somebody comes in by themselves, they'll get help taking the tree off the car or out of their truck. And then the highway garage will take care of it from there. But it's a wonderful thing because people ask every year, what can I do with my Christmas tree? So thank you. Yeah, I don't know if they haven't quite volunteered yet. So we'll enlist them a little bit later. But Saturday, January the 8th from noon to 4 p.m., come to the highway garage, the highway department at 844 North Clove, and you will get some hot chocolate and your tree will be recycled. I guess you can use that for next year, something for equipment. Can you use that when you're going to chip it up and use it? Great. All right, good. All right, this is on the, this is on the town website, so everybody can look at it.
Very nice.
And we'll get volunteers. We'll have lots of town volunteers. And now that he's put Jake Gosnell on the spot, we may see Jake there. All right. Well, thank you very much, Superintendent. Appreciate that. Next up, we have a town clerk report.
Yeah, speaking of recycling, the 2022 recycling center passes are on sale. So you can buy them various different ways. You can go to the town website and purchase it online. You can also go to the transfer station, ask for an application, drop your payment off, town hall will mail it, the actual permit, or you can simply come to town hall and we'll outfit you with a permit, just like we did all the other years.
All the other years.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's
And
really good
I
news.
don't believe there's really been any changes this year in terms of pricing or. Right?
No, we left the pricing. I think we added on that sheet because it was missing.
Yeah, we rearranged a few
Made
things
it
on the
easier to
guide sheet,
read.
but other than
Yeah.
that, it's all the same.
And they look great. The
I
passes
got
are
mine. Thank you,
Oh,
Andrew.
yes. You're
very
welcome.
attractive passes.
They make great
Yeah.
Christmas gifts. I know I always say that, but they do.
That's because you
They
get
do.
one for your dad every year.
Yeah. One quick thing. What's the deadline for having to have it?
I think we said January 16th is the,
You have to have a
due
new
date.
one to
Yeah.
use recycling.
Yeah.
Okay, January 16th. I
So
think we
people
need
get
to,
motivated not to
yeah, we better
put it
remind,
off.
people to get that passed. There've been a lot of people coming in, I notice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, recycling center
Very
passes
nice. Thank
due.
you.
Wonderful. Okay, are there any public comments on agenda items? Nope. Okay, so at this point, we are going to have some committee reports, and I will ask, well, I think we should start with our parks report because number one, our parks manager is here, and two, we have a presentation. So could we start? Do you want to give your report, Jake, or do you want to do the presentation first? That would be awesome. Great. So Sean, you're going to come on up so you can be properly introduced. Sure, sorry.
Do you want Sean to sit here first?
I think so. Yeah, Sean's going to actually make a presentation. So Sean, you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your project? That would be great.
Oh, Sean, could you turn the volume off on that too? I'm sorry about that. Thank
Yes.
you.
Hi, my name is Sean Colagiovanni, and I'm here on behalf of Betsy to introduce you to my Eagle Scout project I've been working on to donate to Time Warp Park. This project I've been working on for over 4 months now is a free and public library box. Its aim is to provide people that visit the park annually with access to free books they can read while they enjoy their time at the park. My hope is to encourage people to recycle their books into the library box when they are finished reading them or have old books they want to get rid of. Due to COVID, this free library box will provide the opportunity of education. My goal is to start a trend with other Boy Scouts also working on the Eagle Scout project. I hope to encourage them to donate library boxes of their own to Time Warp Park and the area surrounding it. I plan to install this library box within the next 2 months at the front of the Parks and Recreation Building. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about my project and the impact it will have on my town. Thank you.
Great. So now, yeah, you want to, well, how are we going to, Andrea's going to help you. I think if she can, would you kind of explain to everybody how you made it, Sean? And Andrea handles the camera work. You can go to the box and kind of walk us through it.
So basically, to make it, we started off with cutting out wood pieces for the bottom and the sides. After we were done with that, we nailed them all together, and then we added the siding, as you can see here. And then after we added the siding, we got the door frame all done, and the wood up top here, we installed that too.
Look at that.
And then after that, we installed the hinges for the door handle, and the magnets holding the door together and the latch there. After that, we installed the tin roof, and we used a lot of sealant to make sure it's weatherproof for the long, cold winters.
That is beautiful.
Very nice.
Thank you. Hang on, Sean, we need one. Can you stand next to it 1 second?
A demo.
No books in there. Not yet.
Not yet.
It's called an opportunity. That's great, Sean.
And where are these gonna be, Sean?
Gonna be located right outside the front of the Parks and Recreation Center.
Just, okay, that's one, and the other, you said something about two more?
There's only one.
Okay.
He's encouraging the other Boy Scouts to continue.
Yeah, there's 80 more other Boy Scouts are so motivated.
That is fantastic. Thank
Very
you so
impressive.
much for coming and
Lot of
for
work
your
there.
great
Thank you.
work. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
no, that's great. So now are you guys gonna take this with you when you leave, or are you leaving it here? How do you're gonna come back and install it, but
We can leave it here if that's okay.
it's whatever you want.
Yeah, we'll leave.
You wanna leave it and then come
Yeah,
back and install it? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you very much.
that's
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very nice.
All right, we're gonna move on with the agenda if you fellas don't mind. So while they're, good night. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Sean, great job. So while we're waiting for, you want to go ahead? Go ahead. All right, wonderful. Our parks report from our parks manager, Jake Gosnell.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Good.
End of the year, just a couple of things to touch on. I'm sure Allison will also touch on it in her report, but our grand illumination went super well. It was really well attended. People seemed to have a really great time. I want to thank my staff and everybody who came out to work it, and my guys for doing a really killer job putting up lights this year for that. And then while we're on that, I just really want to thank my whole staff. It's been a really long, strange year, and they have risen to every challenge. And it's been really awesome to work with them. So I really want to thank everybody in the Parks Department and the Rec Department. They've been really awesome. So
Yeah.
big thumbs up to them and a big thank you to them. And it's still raining. I feel like I've said that at every meeting this year, and it is still raining. So,
Yeah,
that hasn't changed yet.
at least it's not snowing yet.
Not yet. Not yet. It would be
Now-
very nice if it doesn't.
One of the things we're going to do at the end of the meeting where we go through budget adjustments and that sort of thing is talk about the highway truck and the Parks Department and
Yep.
all that. Do you want to stick around for that, or it's totally up to you. We just have a financial proposal is all we're going to
Okay.
be discussing. I can fill you in later if you,
That would be, if you don't
that'd be
mind,
great.
that
Yeah,
would be
no, it
great.
gets late. You guys come in early. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you very much,
Oh,
guys.
wait. Don't we have a full moon guided hike in the park on Sunday evening?
Saturday
Is it
evening.
Saturday?
Yep.
Oh,
Starts at
that's the 19th?
6 p.m. It'll go, park in the big lot in front of my building. So you can see all the lights. We'll start there. Probably be somewhere between an hour and a half
I
long.
think it's Sunday. Whatever.
Saturday.
It's definitely Saturday.
Yeah,
Okay, because the
definitely
19th
Saturday.
is on Sunday.
No,
Okay,
it's on the 18th.
okay,
So,
good.
Is it rain or shine?
Rain or shine. I mean, unless it's totally crazy and snowing and
Yeah.
really horrible out, then we'll make that call. We'll put it out, everybody who signed up, we'll get an email, but hopefully it won't be too bad. We'll see. But,
It should be beautiful.
We do have a lot of little kids signed up, so it probably won't be the longest full moon hike we've done so far, but yeah, it should be fun.
And what would you like everybody to bring on this hike?
Flashlights. It
Flashlights,
is
okay.
at night. It is a full moon hike. Please bring flashlights.
Okay,
So that would be great.
that's great. And we're having about, what, 4 of these a year are we doing?
Yeah, we do it quarterly.
Yeah.
It's hard to do them in the summer. If we were to do them in the summer, they would just start so late. It doesn't get dark till almost 9 o'clock. And by the time the moon comes up, you're looking at, 10:30 to start a hike. It's a little late. So we try to do them in the spring, the fall and the winter. So hopefully, I think the next one is in February. Hopefully we'll have some snow and we can do
That'll be gorgeous.
a full moon hike in the snow, but we'll see.
That's
Hasn't worked
great.
out yet. Well, that's kind of what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for no snow as well, but we'll
That's
see.
great. Well, thank you for leading the hike.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
got
for the grand illumination was fantastic.
Thanks.
And you have a good evening, and
Awesome.
yeah, we'll see you Saturday.
Yep, you
All
got it.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks,
Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have our recreation report. Councilman McGivney, would you like to read that one? Or just to spread it around a little bit? Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be great.
right, recreation report. We started off the month with the grand illumination of Timor Park. It was a great turnout with almost 300 people registered for the event. Residents and their guests enjoyed a visit with Santa, roasting marshmallows, arts and crafts, popcorn, and hot cider. Thank you to all who had joined us for the event. Special thanks to Robert, Santa, Andrea, Santa's helper, and all the staff members who worked the event. We received positive feedback from families that night, as well as on Facebook. Our TGTT program took advantage of Arlington Schools half day last week and celebrated our own holiday party with a Christmas movie and crafts, roasted marshmallows, and lots of games outside. Our TGTT program will be open for full days during the elementary school winter break, and we continue to run our after-school program daily.
Thank you, Councilman. I did want to add to Allison Croak's report that Mike McPartland and his wife Jane came over. We had 300 people there. It was very crowded and kids were flocking towards Santa, of course, but he had a little corner over there for the adults. And Mike McPartland has been a good friend to this event. He's come for the last 3 times and serves a nice warm cider with just a little something extra in it for the adults who want it. Anyway, he and his wife were wonderful, and we can't thank him enough for coming and making that special drink for the adults. But it was a big success, and Santa was hysterical. The kids loved him.
Yeah, he's looking well for his age.
And he has a big beard, and those kids, every one of them pulled his beard, everyone, and every mother apologized.
Got away with it.
Yeah, it was really cute. So how about Councilman Frazier, would you like to read the Animal Control Officer's report? Thank you.
During the month of November, there was 1 lost dog and 2 dog complaints. It's the end of the report.
She says for confidential reasons, she doesn't. And it's the one thing you want to know, well, who complained about what? But she says for confidential reasons, we're not going to get that. All right. Councilman Mills, would you like to read the constable's report? Or
Yep.
you got it? Okay. Here. Oh, you got it. Yeah, you can do that one.
Okay. All right. Constable report for November 2021. Constables patrolled approximately 670 miles of town roads, including all town properties, filling the Explorer with 49.7 gallons of gasoline. The 3 town court dates totaled 55 cases on the dockets with 35 actual appearances. There were no incidents to report. Constables reported the following during patrols. 11:16, vehicle parked on Buzzkill Road. Constable approached the car and noticed odor of marijuana. Radioed sheriff's office for deputy assistance. After investigation, the deputy determined the driver was able to drive safely away, but the occupant info was left with the constable. 11:17, vehicle parked on Clove Road, Buzzkill Road intersection. Constable stopped to see if they could assist. Driver said tow truck was called and refused further assistance. Other notes, constable staff is working nightly on Bloomer Road through Tuesday, December 28th for traffic control at the light display. We respectively remind area residents to be mindful of their speed through the area for safety of fellow residents and constables directing traffic. We are on site to assist residents with any issues. We can make any necessary adjustments as needed. Constables completed the annual New York State Division of Criminal Justice training for peace officers on December 4th and 5th. New trainer Richard Miller provided the mandated annual training topics, along with many new updates to assist constables with their work. I would recommend the use of Mr. Miller moving forward for the year 2022. Respectfully submitted, George Treadwell, Constable in charge. Excellent, thank you.
I know, I think that they have had a few instances where some of the people get frustrated waiting in line and they're driving a little fast. I think if people would remember to go below I think the speed limit might be 30 over there, but if people could go 20, 25, it might help. Also, they should be, remember to let the constables know if they need to move out of the line and go up to home to their driveways or, something like that. Some people have even gotten cell phones so they can call the constables and say, can you come and get me? I'm 4 cars down.
Okay.
And they're facilitating that. Especially a couple of people that haven't felt well, they get the phone number and they know they'll call. So anyway, I think all those little things seem to be helping. As far as new business, which is our next agenda item, Councilman Welsh had mentioned the annexation of Time Warner Park parcels. I just want to say, we don't know which way that's going to go. We have worked very, very hard collecting a lot of information. And all that we, as far as this past week, our attorneys, may have been 2 of them there, I'm not sure. We're in oral arguments in front of 3 judges with Beekman, the town of Beekman's attorney. And in 6 to 8 weeks, we might get a report back based on what the judges thought of all the answers to the questions that they posed. And we'll keep moving this process along because it would be a wonderful thing for Union Vale and for the park. And we'll keep you posted if and when we hear things. Next up on old business is the Dutchess County Workers' Compensation Plan. Just to remind everybody, that was another very important thing for Union Vale. We were involved in a plan that we thought was no longer a good plan for us because they made changes to the plan and they quadrupled the premium, and there were a lot of issues. And so we opted out of the plan, and we've been in discussions with the county since then to negotiate how much we have to pay to get out, because, they're left with some losses there potentially in the future, and we've got to negotiate. And we are going to be doing that on starting on Monday. And we'll be in mediation and we'll do the best we can. And whenever this closes, we will let everybody know. It's been something that's been on the agenda for a long time. Now, as far as new business, we have discussed, and I think we discussed at the last town board meeting, that we'll do that next. Actually, I'm going to do the highway, the park truck. So all we have to do tonight, we've already discussed and decided that we were going to get rid of that Dodge 2004 F-150 they have in the parks because it doesn't operate any longer. And so tonight, I'd like somebody to make a motion, please.
Is it a Dodge? Because F-150 is a Ford.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's a Dodge 2500.
Dodge 2500. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, thank
I
you.
know that didn't jive.
I must have been talking to Jake about 2 different trucks.
All
The
right.
one he wants versus the one he's getting rid of.
Yeah.
I don't know, but let me write, the Dodge. I forgot that is a Ford F-150. So anyway, so it's a Dodge and it is a 2004. We'd like to declare it as surplus so that we can sell it. So may I have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion. to
I'll
get it
second.
back, Surplus it.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. The Dodge 2500
Yes.
is now declared a surplus and will be sold at auction. Thank you, Councilman Frazier, for mentioning that. I think we hope we get 1,200 for it. Apparently, right now it's at 1,600, so we'll do.
It's actually at 3,100 now.
Wow.
Oh, last report I got was, there you go.
Boy.
It was 16 this morning? Wow. Last I heard
Good
from
time of year to
Jake.
be selling one of those.
Good.
I figured with that engine and the plow, it would go for substantially more than what we had heard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't, it's old. They don't want it. That's fantastic. Okay, good.
Great.
Oh, he's giving me the look. All right. 11.2 highway bid comparison. We've completed that. So now I think we should move on to resolutions. And the first one, and then we'll get into our budget adjustments and that sort of thing.
Resolution number 37.
Yeah, we really only have one resolution tonight because all the rest of our business is going to be handled through motions. Councilman Welch, did you want to read that?
Sure.
If you'd offer that and then.
Okay. Town Board Resolution number 37 of 2021. Resolution approving one-time discretionary COVID-19 related distribution. Whereas the town of Unionville has received federal funds under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, which may be used for discretionary one-time COVID-19 related distribution to essential workers who were working during the COVID-19 pandemic during specific dates. And whereas the town wishes to use the aforementioned ARPA funds to provide a discretionary one-time COVID-19 related distribution to town employees subject to certain qualifications which are set forth below. And whereas specific town employees may receive a $2,000 distribution in the month of December 2021 for meeting the following parameters. A, actually work their normal schedule from March 27, 2020 through December 15, 2021, and B, maintain the continuity of operations without separation, performed essential work, including in-person interactions and the physical handling of items handled by others, unflinching dedication to serving as the front line of our court system, bearing the sacrifice that accompanied reduced staffing and constantly changing policies resulting in working many more hours than scheduled as salaried employees. And whereas discretionary one-time COVID-19 related distribution, which shall be made to 3 town employees, is $6,000 in total and is made in the sole discretion of the town and not provided pursuant to any agreement or prior contract or negotiation of promise, which would cause employee to expect such distribution again in the future. And whereas it is necessary to amend the 2021 adopted town budget to provide funds to fulfill the town's intent. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized and directed to increase the appropriations to A.1110.1 in the amount of $6,000 by increasing revenue in account A.4089 in the amount of $6,000. Call for roll call vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? No discussion? Excuse me, hearing no discussion, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Derland.
Aye.
Councilman Frazier.
Aye.
Councilman McGivney.
Aye.
Councilman Welsh.
Aye.
Supervisor Moss.
Aye. Okay. Resolution 37, 2021 is approved, and we will take care of that right away, which is, I think, a great thing because we only had one department in the whole town that was stressed as much as that one for things completely out of their control. So thank you, everybody. Now I'd like to go to the budget adjustments. We have a few important things to talk about. So the first one is, I think the copies didn't come out in color, but you see this shaded. So we have, this is actually good news. And this is, you know, we have such a great group of people working here that everybody, you know, we just have a really nice team and everybody works well together. And part of our team, our highway superintendent and our parks manager got together after, as we were talking about, and again, I get the Dodge 2500 confused with the F-150, but we've been doing a lot of talking about the various trucks because this parks truck no longer worked. So anyway, now we have a new plan on the table. Instead of purchasing a new truck, whether it was a Dodge or a Ford that they wanted, what we've come to the conclusion of, or what these two gentlemen came to the conclusion of, to save the town some money, is that the highway truck that was purchased, that the highway department doesn't really enjoy using. One of the reasons they have to come over here, it's a big utility truck. They have to come over here to get diesel fuel and that sort of, to get gas. And it's just that part's an inconvenience. So what we're going to do is we're going to loan for 4 months out of the year that truck to the Parks Department. And then they will give it back because the highway department will use it again in the spring. For the other 8 or 9 months, it's going to be a weather dependent thing.
Okay.
The highway department just used that truck. The one that they're getting rid of has a plow. And the reason we don't want that plow is because it's on the truck and they bought a brand new plow. So we don't want the old plow. It's going to stay with the truck and get sold with the truck, but at auction, but they've got a new plow ready to go on to work with this one because they use a different shape. So what we came up with is that based on the purchase price of that truck and using a straight line depreciation method, the monthly depreciation expense is $573.15. And what we would do is pay that amount monthly in rent from December to March. And we would move that money over from the Parks Department to the Highway Department as rental income. Because you just can't take equipment like that from one line to another. And this would be our cost, our payment for it. So it's just a matter of getting approval. And then I believe they could start using the truck and then they'll give it back to them in the spring. So if everybody, I think it's a wonderful plan because of, look at the money we're saving and they're both
Yeah,
being
they get-
smart.
Make the most use of that vehicle.
And the highway guys do not use that in the winter because they're all on the snow plows and the other trucks. So does anybody have any questions about this? Or I hope you like the idea. I think it's pretty,
Novel.
yeah, it's a great thing for them. And from an accounting standpoint, this is what we need to do or something like it, unless the highway department wanted to overcharge them or something. But I think he seemed happy with depreciation. So if everybody likes this, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the calculation and the loan of the highway truck to the Parks Department for plowing during the winter months, potentially from December to March. We can itemize that rent. So that is the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Okay. So next up, we're going to go through our list just like we did last year. We have a list, a one-page list of adjustments that we have to make. And we don't do much of this during the year because people stay really tight to their budget numbers. And then we do it. Now, we're still not finished. We'll do this again in January when, when the final
Yeah, when you see what you have
close
to
the
do.
books and all that. But the first thing is that we have a bank transfer that we will make from escrow to checking to the general checking account to cover the escrow bills paid by the general fund. And that amount would be $14,626.18. So that will be the first item on the table. Second, a summary of budget transfers. Now, these are small things. Most of them are fairly small, but just as a formality, we would want to transfer $8,162 from town buildings, the 0.4 account, to the 0.2 account. And that actually was for the new air handler, dishwashers for the senior center and for number 2 Timor Park Road. It's just that they were in different accounts, same line, but different accounts. So we want to move that over. In 1680 central data processing, we want to move over from 1680.4 to 1670.4, $1,945. The central printing and mail line of 1670.4 went over budget this year. And the only reason that line went over budget is I'm not sure anybody was aware of this, but one of the copiers that was down in the recreation department, which we tried to get rid of when we got rid of the other copiers, it turned out that an employee from 2016 that wasn't allowed, but for some reason signed a contract with the copier company, and we were not allowed to get rid of because of the terms of that contract. We weren't aware of the contract. We didn't have a copy in the town clerk office, the town clerk's office. The rules were not followed in that regard. But the employee did sign on for a special copier in the recreation department, and it didn't match the deal of the one up here, and it cost us an additional $1,945. So that budget line went over for that reason, but we have money in central data, so we're going to suggest we move it from 1680 to 1670. And of course, everybody knows that rule, the rule that's in effect, that arbitrarily any employee isn't allowed to obligate the town to any contract. There is $226 that we need to transfer from central processing into 1675.4. The Dutchess County chargebacks were $226 in excess of what we budgeted. That was a little surprise. From 7410, from the library budget, we want to move from the CE 0.4 to 0.1, $232 because we have paid Kathy Wellman, we paid her for some hours that she put in to set up that program. Special events, $784. We're just reallocating contractual expenses to cover employee wages from special events from 0.4 to 0.1. And then the larger one at the bottom is higher than expected machinery expenditures this year for trucks. And some of that is because we're doing it in-house and we're spending more money on parts, but we had a very large excess money in snow removal. And of course, the end of the year is coming. And so that budget will pick up next year. So from D 5142, we'd like to move $11,647 over to the machinery budget, which is D 5130. Those would be the budget transfers. Now the budget amendments, these are things that we approved earlier in the year or that we have to approve now. because it came in like chips, that sort of thing. So we'd like to, we approve these things, but we need to formalize it. We want to take unassigned fund balance and move in the amount of $13,600 and move that into 1620. The buildings department, where we incurred the expenses for the garage doors, the flagpole at the solar farm. That was 13,600. Everybody probably remembers those garage doors. Also, we want to take from unassigned fund balance and assign it to 1620.4, which is $15,000. That was the approved tennis court resurfacing because of the great deal we got. Oh, by the way, a Village of Millbrook is redoing their tennis court as soon as the weather comes.
Yeah.
And it's actually in better condition than ours was, because ours hasn't been played on for years and years. Theirs was played on last summer, but they do have cracks. They got a quote and they accepted the quote of $28,000.
Oh, wow.
So so I think it was smart that we did that when we did, and I think appreciate everybody helping out with that. We also have to approve this budget amendment from D3501, state aid in CHIPS. And we are into permanent improvements. We move that money into permanent improvements because that's what the highway uses it for. It was in excess, it was larger than we expected, and we budgeted $79,197. The pool fees, we're going to use some of the pool fees to cover higher than expected. We had pool repairs, including an aspect of the pool pump, not a new pool pump, but a different piece broke. And so that was an unexpected expense. So we'll just move some of the pool fees into pool CE contractual expenses to cover that, $8,129. Equestrian fees would get moved into contractual expenses to pay what we paid out for trainers and that sort of thing, or people that ran clinics, $7,037. The Equestrian Center made money this year, which was fantastic. So that was an easy transfer. So from A2189, which is other home and community services line, we're moving $8,600. It's an accounting transfer because we got $8,600 to set up our climate smart community coordinator. Remember, we got the grant. The grant was for $8,600, so we transferred over to cover that expenditure when we sent the check, when we sent the money out. Rental of real property, we have excess money in more than we expected to have as far as rent revenue, since that was in our state retirement was $10,381 more than we had budgeted. And that fluctuates. The state kind of tells us at the end, oh, by the way, here's your bill, and it can fluctuate. So we had the money and we picked the rental of real property account to move it into to cover that. So those are our typical year-end budget transfers and budget amendments, in addition to our escrow bank transfer to cover bills paid by the general fund. So I'd like to have a motion to approve bank transfers for escrow to the general fund, budget transfers and budget amendments as just recorded.
Okay, I'll make that motion as outlined by your typed up transfer list
Okay.
here.
All that transfers and amendments. Is there a second?
I have a question. Is that going to include the portion that you haven't read?
No, we're going to talk about that in a second. Those are transfers of capital projects funds. We are talking about
I just wanted
the
to
top
clarify
three.
that we hadn't discussed them and we're not voting on those.
Right. We're voting on bank transfers, budget transfers that I read out, and the budget amendments that I read out.
That's it.
There's a
Second.
motion on the floor. I have a second. All in favor of those three transfers and amendments, two
Aye.
transfers, one amendment, say aye. Aye. Okay, that passes, which is great. We'll get our books all done. Now, the last section, the Councilman Frazier on this sheet that he's referring to. Now, what happens is, we have a large fund balance because we have been saving money for some of these larger projects. And typically what we would do is move that money into capital projects fund. It doesn't mean, none of these projects has been voted on because we haven't gotten any bids on any of these projects. And we're still waiting for a new proposal from the engineers because the water's been so high this year. They haven't been able to go in and do. Yeah, so we're kind of hanging on to that. But anyway, these are, what we're doing is we're taking money out of fund balance and we're moving it into capital projects funds. And what that means is that we are allocating those funds. This is not something that's permanent. This is, you get it out of fund balance, so people don't think you, and some people apparently do think we have a very large fund balance with no plans associated with it. Our accountant said by the end of the year, if you wouldn't mind moving that over, then when our AUD goes into the comptroller's office in the first quarter, they'll know that we have a lot of projects planned, which is why we've been saving that much money.
Yeah.
And so, because we have this conversation with them. So these are numbers that we had, again, these are not, none of these projects are voted on. These are sums that we had either gotten a quote on before, or we're assuming we may have to spend. They go into a little accounting category. And then when we get our bids and we accept bids, if this is over, the money just goes right back. This is fluid money. It's just that we have to take it out of fund balance so that everybody understands that this is money that we plan on spending on important
Yes.
projects. So when we move it over, we will have each one identified by the categories listed here. And those categories are furnace pond dam repairs, roof for the senior center and the park office, one truck for highway instead of the two. So one for parks and one for highway. So that number's lower. The highway garage windows, the historical windows, which we talked about 6 months ago. Digitizing building department files, which is incredibly important. It's getting more important every day because we're not finding things that we need.
Is there any grant money for that? I mean, that's a lot of money for,
Well, we're not spending the money. Again, we're just allocating it.
I know, but when we do spend it, are you aware of any grants out there that could be available?
Well, they have one from the state from time to time. And then when we have the company lined up to come in and talk to us about it, and they said that they might have grant information they will share with us,
Okay,
but the money it's just been a little tight.
yeah,
So again, I don't want anybody to be worried that we're allocating this money. This is just going into a bucket with a name on it. It'll come right back if we don't spend it. Air conditioning from town hall, that was an estimate because the price went up last time we got it. Booth for the recycling center, $30,000. They need one, and we've already had all of these have been discussed before. The cement bridge in Timor Park, $125,000 was the last quote we got from our engineer. So those are the top priorities that we all had on our infrastructure list from before. We will take this up in 2022, but at least by the end of this year, we will have moved them out so that our fund balance, people understand what we're saving for.
yeah.
So we got a lot of work to do on these projects in
Mhm.
the coming year.
Sure.
And we'll find out about grants. We have another
Okay.
group. We're going to bring them in to talk to us about whether or not they can help us with grants. We have a lot of that coming. It's really a
Good.
good point. It's been hard for us to get grants. So anyway, the previously approved project, the repair to the highway equipment garage that our superintendent discussed tonight, the fact that it had broken trusses, that was already approved, and that's $148,424. That gets moved into, as an already approved project, into capital projects. So the total of those transfers as just estimates and unapproved is
Yeah.
$1,738,424.
Mhm.
So what we're voting on is just to move it into capital projects and take it out of fund balance. So that the accountant also, he asked us, he
Yeah, so-
wants us to do it.
It could be obvious where it's headed.
Right. And then what we'll show on our accounting statements, we'll show these are unapproved capital projects,
Mhm.
and the fund balance will be reduced accordingly.
Okay,
Are there any questions about that?
no?
You good? Everybody clear? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we move the aforementioned projects to be approved in the future from our fund balance into our capital projects fund and be identified in an itemized fashion.
Mhm.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. That'll be that. I believe that those are all of the things that I have for finance. I would like to say that the town board members have gotten all their normal, this is supposed to be in the minutes, and I forgot to say it earlier. I've gotten all the normal monthly reports, including our P&L and our balance sheets and that sort of thing. And all of the warrants and abstracts and everything. And then I two last things. One, I'd like to say that we did have a very successful year this year.
Mhm.
And I want to say that we have just a phenomenal group of employees working here. And we don't get to thank them enough. We are having a very small lunch for just the employees next Tuesday to thank them for their hard work. But they pulled off a lot of things this year in a year that was really difficult in a lot of different ways. And as Jake said, and it never stopped raining as far as he was concerned. But their town hall people are great. We've hired a new court clerk who I think is going to fit right in with our new assessors clerk.
Oh, good,
So I
good.
think we're lucky, and between parks and highway and town hall, we are in a great shape as a town. And then lastly, I'd like to say that this is Councilman Steve Frazier's final meeting, and he has been on the town board for the last 9 years. And I think that we admire and we appreciate all the hard work that are the things that you brought up, just like tonight, straighten me out on that truck. I do things like that. And I appreciate all your comments that you've made. And I think that we'd like to all stand up and honor you for your service and really appreciate the time you spent. Thank you. Now, that being said, I don't know, we have public comments on any town issues. If anybody would like to make any comments.
Jean Moore, I know, wanted to speak.
Jean Moore, would you like to say something?
Yes, I would, please. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to thank Steve Frazier for making a motion at the last town board meeting to pay approximately $80,000 to 3 local libraries to get full library services for our town. I would also like to publicly thank Kevin McGivney. I think he was the one that seconded the motion. Betsy has made it very clear that she wants our town to pay to renovate or rebuild the barn at Timor to create a library, and that the other members on the board have to agree with what she wants or they will be replaced. Steve, I am sorry to see you go. Your experience, particularly in the area of construction, mechanics, and the general principles for the welfare of our town, will be missed. Here are some of the thoughts I wrote in an email sent to the members of our group known as LSS4UV. It was sent with the hope that we would be able to use this year's work on the proposition as a dress rehearsal for the general election in 2022. We know we were at a disadvantage when we started last year, not only because of time constraints, but also from not having a list of emails of voters, not being able to meet up with parents at events involving their children because of COVID restraints, along with many of us not really thoroughly understanding the process, excuse me, and of course, the cost of such a venture. Well, we have now gained a lot of knowledge about the process, have gained many supporters, and could be more successful this coming November if we start out right away in January, working together to get another library proposition on the ballot. There's a sidebar here about the cost. Someone who didn't give their name wondered online what our ultimate purpose was in trying to get the proposition on the ballot, as if it was something nefarious. I am still taken aback at such an absurd suggestion, especially since all of the members of our group contributed not only a substantial amount of time and effort, but also a substantial amount of our own money to the cause. We are not rich people. Many of us are retired. Others have jobs that take a lot of time, and such an insinuation is entirely wrong and uncalled for. Usually the person making such an accusation is the one who has the nefarious reason behind it. Otherwise, why should such a thought occur to them? Just the fact that we changed the minds of 2 of the town board members is quite an achievement. Who would have thought that any town board member would propose paying the library fee? Yet we had 2 who were in favor of it in November. We must work again to educate more people, expand the size of our group, use our 3 minutes at board meetings to talk about the lack of library services along with other topics, and to get the proposition approved by a majority of voters this time. After all, the proposition is already written and ready to be used. We should be proud that we came as close to winning as we did on our first try, and that we alarmed Betsy so badly that she sent out her last-minute communiques to not only confuse the voters, but also to make it a political stand, even though we all know having the use of a library should not be a political subject. We now know what to expect and can be better prepared next time. I hope many of you are willing to try it again. And I hope everybody at the town board and the employees and everybody else has a wonderful holiday. Thank you.
So now I will say to Mrs. Moore, I hope you have a wonderful holiday too. And I also hope that everybody really sees through half of that, because the town board has always voted unanimously, except in the previous administration when Karina Kelly was the one that didn't vote. I believe in my, I very much believe, given the phone calls I received, that a lot of people were confused by the yellow cards that went out and they asked for clarification. It is not a political issue. It has always been a town issue since 2010, when this argument first started. And it has always been, the heart of the matter is how much you pay and what you tie it to. So all I can say to you is that we are going to start our community meetings to discuss that library on the second floor of the barn. It is a community discussion. It's not my choice one way or the other. The residents have to be happy, but it cannot be a minority of very vocal people that walk door to door and misinform or confuse people so that they're calling town hall to get more information. It's not fair. And even if it weren't all over one of the political parties' websites for months and months and months, making it look political, regardless of how it looked, it has always been a town issue. And it will continue to be a town issue. And the last thing I've got to say to you is the whole absurdity is we're probably like $25,000 difference in a way, as far as how much money this is. The libraries need to help us tie it to something. We said, based on what the Library Steering Committee recommended and the American Library Association suggested and the town of New York normally does, just tie it to library cards. We're probably 20 or 25 grand apart, but they will not budge and say, yes, let's tie it to library cards. With that, if they would budge and say, let's tie it to something, a town board just can't allocate funds that aren't tied to something. Now, if somebody wants to help them walk through the numbers and we get together on the 20 or 25 grand, they can have those checks, but we have to tie it to something. So all I've got to say is, Jean, have a wonderful holiday yourself. We will take up all these issues next year. We will have the community meetings to discuss the library, and we'll see how it goes. What the people want, the people get, and that's it. Now, is there anybody else that would like to say something? Charles Nivens. Oh, there you are. Sorry about that. Would you like to go ahead and speak, Mr. Nivens?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
I was in the meeting last month. I was there about the noise issue on Bloomer Road.
Yes.
You had stated that you were going to follow up with me after speaking with George, but it's been a month and I've heard nothing.
Yep. I just spoke with him about it today, actually.
Since last meeting, I've spoken with numerous people also living around the area, and none of them are happy. None of them can utilize their yards. They refuse to have people over. And you know, I'm just curious what is going to be done. Have we talked to George about why we can't have a meter to measure noise?
Well, it's funny because it took a long time for us to get together. He had to do a little bit of homework, and then and he was out for a few days, and there was training. There was all kinds of things going on, and he and I had a meeting this morning because I did want to get back to you. And first of all, we don't own that piece of equipment. Second of all, there are certain elements. Apparently, I think he said he has spoken to you before. And some of the things that you're talking about are really things that you need to contact the police about. And it's not really the town's issue. If you think it's, he said he couldn't find that machine. And if we tried to rent it, it would be exorbitantly expensive. It was like over $10,000 or something is what, when he last tried to do that, is what it costs. So he's suggesting we not do that, and that the neighbors try to work it out amongst themselves. And if it gets elevated to a higher level, then the police probably need to be called. But you know, we get a lot of neighbor complaints. And we had another one today about neighbors, and I'm not really sure. Maybe it's the COVID thing where too many people have been locked up for a long time. But this whole year, we've had a lot of neighbor complaints, and most of them do not rise to the level of a town board's involvement. And if you are having trouble, or if you think somebody's particularly dangerous, you need to call the police. But in his opinion, there wasn't anything that we could do because of this. It didn't sound like anybody had broken the law. He just said that the neighbors have to try to, it's one of those things where the neighbors have to try to work it out. And I apologize that there's nothing we can do, but the town board tries to stay out of just neighbor and neighbor complaints.
I
as best
understand,
they can.
but this is more than just a neighbor to neighbor complaint. This, like, I don't understand because you have it in your code that there is a noise ordinance
Yep.
that includes music. I mean, that's noise. That's, I was at the last meeting where I literally opened my videos and showed
I know.
the loudness of the music. That's not right. I have called the police and the police tell me that since it's a town ordinance, it's like in your code, that's who I need to contact.
Yeah. Apparently, now we should talk about this on the phone, Mr. Nives, because apparently your neighbor is not saying the same thing. So you're at odds, you're giving different reports, which isn't unusual. And so if you want to call on the phone and talk to George or myself, I can share those other comments with you. But I think it's one of those things that it appears at this point as if it's the two neighbors are arguing and they need to try to work it out. Now I can ask George to get another quote and try to find that noise meter so we could be more precise. And we could do that, which I think would be an interesting thing to have if a group of people are feeling the same way. Maybe that prices have come down. He suggested not, but why don't we have him take a look and see if we can get it? But I think other than that, other than having it, mess up the meter, and I don't remember what the equipment was called, but
I understand what you're saying, but I'm
It's a
also
DB meter.
You have.
George knows what it is.
I've looked up the meters online. The meters aren't $10,000. I can buy an A scale weighted meter for $150. So I'm not sure about that.
You know what, Mr. Nimitz, call George Kolb tomorrow and let him know that. And I will talk to him tomorrow and I will let him know. But I really want him to feel comfortable with the piece of equipment and I want him to feel comfortable with the reading from the equipment. So it's important. It's important if you want to send that in, the name of whatever product that you had. I don't think it's the same one that he's referring to.
And that's fine. But again, it's in your code. How do you enforce a code when you don't have the tool to test or measure?
Yeah, it's funny. It's interesting. They've never had that tool. And other towns don't have the tool either. And I noticed the same language in other towns. So we'll look at it further, but we can talk to him and try to get a quote on it. But that is the only thing that we have in the code that would allow us to get involved. So I will talk to him and ask him to get another quote. And I apologize for the delay. But if there's any way you think that the neighbors could get together and have a group meeting and try to work things out, we also think that would be very beneficial.
And considering that he pulled a weapon on me the last time I was there, that's not going to happen.
We tried this.
But this is fine. I will contact you tomorrow.
Yeah, call and give us the name of the equipment that you're looking at, because I know he and I looked at it together and it was not at all what you can buy it on Amazon for $150. But let's see if we can come together on that. And if he'll agree, then we can take it to the next step. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. Is that it?
That was, there was that other person, but I don't see anyone else in the meeting.
Okay. All right. If anybody, any councilman,
I make a motion to pay the bills.
pay the bills. All right. I think I'll second that. All in favor of paying the bills?
Aye.
All right. All in favor and adjourning this meeting for the 2021, our final meeting, say
Wrap it
aye.
up, aye.
Yeah. I'll make that motion. All right, guys. Have a good night. Have a good holiday. We'll see you.